house.
スイート、私あなたを救えなかった。
I see in your eyes where tomorrow is hiding in my heart. There's a bell ringing loud at the touch of your lips. Down the rainbow, I'm sliding. Little arrows keep falling as thick as a cloud.
眩しくて怖いのよ、日の光が。かからないわ、故障よ。
Welcome to Movie Humpers.
Hello.
It is Halloween Hump Fest, and every day this week.
Every day of our lives.
But in October, we are dropping a Halloween horror drop every weekday. This week's theme, a little ghostly, a little haunty, a little spooky. Yeah, we have 2 weird-ass Japanese movies this week. I don't know if this one is as weird as the other one, because at least some kind of story here.
Yes. And a reason.
But this movie, truly, might be one of the most purely creative movies we've discussed so far. Just in terms of it's weird as shit, and it's like a live-action cartoon, which seems like what they were truly going for.
Yeah, and you can follow it. You understand who all the people are. There is, yeah, you're right. There is like a beginning, middle, and an end. Like, there is a understanding of the why.
And there's not, like...
Maybe not how, but why.
That's true. And it's not a very happy ending.
No, but somehow satisfying.
Tortured souls from an old war, the remnants of nuclear assault, definitely have an undertone to this movie. Yeah. Nuclear bombs, Hiroshima.
That's not the satisfying part. I just want to get that clear, that I said it was satisfying right before you said that, and I just want to say, like, that's not why it was satisfying.
There's a point where, the onslaught of imagination, and like this movie is so hyper and so like it seems unrelenting in its stylistic approaches. And there is a part where the main character is explaining the history of her family and mother and aunt, and that plays into World War II. And when she describes the nuclear attack on Hiroshima, I'm trying to remember my Japanese pronunciations for Gozu were fucking off bad.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge that listening back. They were really bad. We don't pretend
like we know how to properly, and we mean no disrespect.
But she's describing the Hiroshima attacks, and one of the characters, because the people can magically understand, look into her telling of the past, they go, it looks like cotton candy. For the nuclear attack.
Yeah,
cotton candy.
When she tells stories, when stories are told, you watch little movies of those stories, and somehow so do the characters within the movie. Yeah.
We're talking about the movie House from 1977. I think it does have a Japanese title, but they did call it House because giving it a foreign title lends it to some kind of controversy, makes it seem a little edgy. That culture. Japanese, very nationalistic culture.
Yes.
So when you're like throwing like other, things against the wall, I think it can give you kind of this weird cultural edge.
Sure.
Directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi, written by Chiho Katsura, with ideas thrown against the wall by Nobuhiko's daughter Shigumi Obayashi, who they had an outline of a plot. I think the studio of Toho, who made Sword of Doom and many other hit Japanese films, Toho was like, hey, we want that Jaws movie. in America really popped off, and we kind of want to do something
Yeah.
we want to pop off like Jaws. I guess it took a while to get this to where it was, but this is what the director came up with the help of his daughter and
I
a
would
writer.
have never, ever, never guessed that. Well, listen, the fact that his daughter helped him with some of the ideas, I think is brilliant, and that does make sense once you know it. But the fact that they started by asking him to create their version of a Jaws is insane for this movie. Also, who hosts this podcast?
I'm Bob Sham.
I'm Angela.
The sounds you hear will be dogs. And there was this comic book that came out years ago. I mean, this kid is probably grown now, called Axe Cop.
Oh, yeah.
Axe Cop was, it was drawn.
I read some Axe Cop.
It was drawn by the older brother, but the story was by his kid brother, which I think when they started, he was like 7 years old. So it was inherently insane, but also never boring because of that fact. And you can kind of lay that with House, the 1977 film. Cinematography by Yoshitaka Sakamoto, and music by Asai Kobayashi and Miki Yoshino. The music is good, but I gotta say that little piano jingle by the end of the movie, I was pretty kind of done with it.
I was fine with it.
I was pretty done
I get it.
with that. You know.
I know.
Actually, it's been a minute since we watched it, so I'm trying to get the jingle right in my head. But if you've seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. What's the plot of
And
this
you'll
movie?
play it for them. Okay.
Give us the outline of this movie.
The plot of this movie is there are 7 friends, and they're all in school together. It's the end of the school year. And 6 of these girls are planning to go to a camp with their teacher, Mr. Togo,
Yeah.
who Fantasy is obsessed with. So all the girls have nickname names.
Yeah, let's go through them.
Okay, so there's Fantasy.
Right.
Gorgeous.
Who's kind of our lead.
Fantasy's kind of our lead, and so is Gorgeous.
Most of these girls are actually not trained actors either. I think only Gorgeous was.
That makes sense, but they all do a great job. Okay, so Fantasy, Gorgeous, Prof, who is like the smart one. Mac is the one who likes to eat.
Yeah, they make fat jokes about her.
She's not fat, literally at all.
If she's fat, we are medical
Jabba the
oddities.
Hutt.
We are medical oddities. Yes.
Yeah. So Mac eats all the time.
Yeah.
Kung Fu is the like athletic one.
She fights.
Then we
fight.
have Sweet, who's just a sweetie, I
And
guess, and Melody.
who's musical.
Yes. So they all have names that relate to their personalities, which makes it really, really easy to get to know them and learn who they are.
And I was kind of surprised at how well I was able to kind of keep up with who they were.
Because it made sense.
It does.
And then once you're kind of into the movie a little bit, then they actually do the thing where they show each of their faces with their names in English and Japanese. So it just reiterates again. This is your cast of characters.
Now, Gorgeous's mom is dead.
Yes.
And she's got a new stepmom.
Yes.
Who looks to appear to be half European, but they don't say that.
Yeah, and so Gorgeous is not going to be able to go to camp with her friends because she's going to go spend the summer with her father. But then she finds out there's this new mom, and she's pissed and is like, I'm not going with y'all. Then camp gets canceled because it's supposed to be at Mr. Togo's sister's, and she's having a baby, and so it's all her fault. Like, it's just a terrible, terrible thing because she's having a baby. So then Gorgeous is like, wait, let's all go see my aunt, who I haven't seen since I was 6 years old. I want to go back to the town where her mom came from, the house where she grew up, and y'all can all come with me. And Mr. Togo can meet us there.
Yeah.
That is the setup. She writes a postcard to her aunt, and her aunt is like, I've been waiting for your letter. Yes, please come visit me.
Yeah.
And so they go to the aunt's house.
It's pretty much as simple as that.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's like all crazy shit.
It's everything that happens at the house.
Apparently-
Oh, there is a cat
Yes.
that shows up
Blanche.
at Gorgeous's house. She names her Blanche. And she's just
carries
with her all the
everywhere
time.
she goes. She
even
drives
on
the train.
Yeah, she goes with the train.
And
she's already on the train.
This is very much a late 70s movie stylistically, you can tell. The pop elements of it feel very 70s. And there's actually
Mr. Togo's style is very 70s.
Yeah, even like the casual music, especially when it's like going in and out of the town and representing the people. Apparently, Blink and You'd Miss Her, the kid who came up with a lot of concepts for this movie was in one of the town settings.
Oh, yeah?
But yeah, so she does appear in the movie, one of the credited co-writers, this little girl. But,
yeah.
And apparently some of the concepts, just the idea of a house eating a person.
So just real quick, we see Mr. Togo again at the end, but he ends up not making it to the house because he falls down and gets a pot stuck on his butt. And then there's a child like beating on the pot like it's a drum, and he has to go to the hospital.
Can we talk about Mr. Togo for a little bit?
Yes.
First of all, why is he going to meet these girls?
Well, he was supposed to take them all to his sister's house and do like a summer camp with them. Seems weird.
Yeah.
6 girls going to his sister's house to spend
and one
the
of
summer with
them
him.
is openly in love with them.
Fantasy is obsessed with him, and everyone knows it, and they talk about it even in front of him. But because his sister's having a baby, now that they're going to the aunt's house, they've decided, let's just have camp at the aunt's house. So he's coming also there to still teach them something. They're not just there for a visit, but he doesn't make it.
Mr. Togo is kind of like a clown character in a 70s Hanna-Barbera cartoon, like a Shaggy type, but he's like Japanese.
He's even got the fucking chops. He's
easily distracted. He gets served noodles by a bear at one point.
Yeah.
You know a kid came up with that one.
Yeah.
And Mr. Togo, as much as we kind of stop in on his journey along the way, we'll get to it.
What happens to him, yeah.
And it's so silly that it's like, I don't want to say like we could have cut Mr. Togo, because the weirdness of his journey is very much in with this whole movie. So it's hard to say, just to be able to say like this could have gone and this could have went, because it's pretty much, this is the movie you got, and you got to really stylistically accept every layer of it.
Yes, and I think the thing that
or hate it, you could do that too.
Yes, I think the thing that's interesting about Mr. Togo's character is that, I mean, this is obviously a magical movie, like a mystical movie. There's ghosts, there's crazy ass things happening. Blanche does find Gorgeous to bring her to her aunt, basically. So the thing about Mr. Togo is he's trying to get to them the whole time, but he can't. And crazy ass things are happening to him. And so I think that's just all part of it. Like, you can't go there.
Yeah.
He can't get to the house.
He's haunted in his own way. Everything is getting in his way to prevent him.
Yes.
So in a way, he actually, just in coming kind of close, at least getting to the nearest town, that he kind of manages to get by his own curses,
yeah,
I suppose.
It does seem like a curse, or just like a block, like a magical like blocker. But also, it's interesting because he's also the one who knows where they are. He's the one who is coming to be with them. So the whole time they think, okay, well, like, things are going bananas, but like Mr. Togo's
bananas.
I didn't mean to do that, but I did it. Mr. Togo's gonna get here though, and he will help us. He will save us. He will take us away. But he never makes it. But he is sort of that like idea of someone who can help them, that they're like kind of hanging on to until they realize like no one's fucking coming for us.
So
except this house.
So we're at Auntie's house.
Yeah, Auntie is creepy.
And this would be, in any other respect, this could be like a nice, charming Hallmark movie about some girls coming to help their aunt their great aunt who they haven't seen in a long time, redo this old family house. And I think the daughters want that, or Gorgeous and her friends want that, but really, Auntie is fucking dead. A ghost. Maybe even a demon. And the cat is almost like her familiar. Shit starts happening pretty goddamn quick. Yeah. With Mac, the fat one, who loves to eat.
The eating one.
The eating one.
She's just the food girl.
She's not fat at all, is what we're trying to say.
I don't want to call her fat. She likes to eat.
I mean, look, late 70s Japan, sexist? Come on.
She gets a watermelon from a really weird dude.
Yeah, and they keep the watermelon in a well to cool it because the fridge is broken, according to the aunt. Mac goes out.
It's a portal.
So Mac goes out to get the watermelon, get some food or whatever, and she's gone for a minute. And someone, I forget who it is, maybe Fantasy.
Fantasy starts seeing weird shit before anyone else, and no one believes her for a little while.
So she's pulling the rope to get the watermelon out of the well, but it's not a watermelon. It is Mac's head. But Mac's head, as you can see right above my own head, starts singing and talking and floating around. And these effects are like these interesting layered practical effects. They're kind of, some of these effects are kind of these strange tricks that we've seen in movies for decades up to this point.
Yeah.
But they're so much fun, and they're done in such a like throwing it hard at you. Like the director makes specific decisions for almost every scene in terms of set and weirdness. Like there's always something completely bizarre going on.
There's also these like gorgeous sky scenes. Like it always looks like beautiful orange sunsets. It's the one of the brightest horror films, I think, because it's all the color, all the girls are dressed nicely, brightly. Like they're in this house. I mean, it's not, it's obviously like it goes into the night and things do get dark, but there's a lightness to it, and even when terrible things are happening, because also the girls will be like, that was really scary. Like there's this bizarre, like everything's gonna be okay.
And it's very obvious. I mean, of course it's a set because it's a movie.
Yeah.
But the set nature of it, the structure of it seems very obvious that it's a set.
Yeah.
When you're in the movie. And it doesn't, that's not a way in which it distracts it. The complete preconceived structure of everything feels almost like could you possibly, it'd be wild if you could somehow recreate this into a stage play and all the wild shit you would need to do.
I mean, some of it you definitely could just completely do.
Yeah.
It's interesting because in thinking about the view of the house, so there is this man who sells vegetables and fruit, and that's where they get the watermelon from. It comes back around later with Mr. Togo. But from that place, you can see the house, right? And the girls stop there and they're like, where's the house? Where's the house? And he truly is like, it's over there. It looks like Dracula's castle. Like it's like on this big mountain. It's the only house at the top of the house, at the top of the mountain. And it's truly like, what other house is there? And even that man is like, no one's been here for a very long time.
Yeah.
The woman, she will be happy there are visitors. Like, he knows what's up.
Yeah.
He knows.
These people might be agents of the woman in some way,
I mean.
Or like the townspeople in which they're very vague, but they like to make of a Dracula Hammer horror movie where they think like they don't want to talk about him and maybe they think they can avoid him.
Yeah. And he's just like, I'm just doing my own thing. This is as close as I get. It's interesting because so things the aunt does.
Yeah.
So she's in a wheelchair at first. The cat loves her, like jumps in her lap immediately. She has paintings of the cat all over her house. She stands up at one point.
After Mac is killed or eaten or consumed.
Yeah, Mac has been
and I think
dead.
That represents her starting to obtain like power.
And they're like, you can walk? And she's like, having you all here gives me so much energy.
Yeah. Because
she's
the house
a monster.
is consuming them and powering
and feeding
her.
And then there's this one part where I called the fridge a portal because there's this one part where the girls are turned kind of, and Fantasy's looking at her and she looks at Fantasy and is like, shh, and she backs into the fridge and then ends up in the rafters of the house. So she's just at that point either she's a witch or a ghost. Mm-hmm. And so the story of her is that she lived in that house. She was engaged to be married and her fiance had to go to the war.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I'll wait for you. I'll wait forever for you. Well, so he never came home, but she decided he wasn't dead and that he was going to come home. So she just became obsessed with waiting for him.
Gorgeous becomes possessed very early on in the whole movie. And her whole arc is almost like watching her slowly transform, I guess, into her aunt, who is reminiscent of her
the
mother.
Next one.
And it's that bitterness is shown through from the war. There's one point where she's staring at a reflection of herself and it's on fire and she's on fire. And of course that is representing, I think the director actually is, I believe, from Hiroshima and actually lost a lot of friends because that shit hit when he was a child.
Yeah. This thing happens where she finds a mirror and some makeup and she's like brushing her hair and that's when she starts seeing things and she ends up putting on the wedding dress that I guess her mom got married in and her aunt intended to get married in.
Yeah.
But yeah, when the mom got married and moved away, the aunt just stayed there forever alone in the house. And then the grandmother died, and then the aunt died, but the aunt has still never left the house because she's still waiting.
So obviously, what we got for the rest of the way here is very simple.
Yep.
The house is eating these girls and
Yes.
empowering the aunt. And Gorgeous has become possessed and will be, I guess, you know, they're not trying to kill her. She's going to become, I guess,
The house is hers.
manifested into this and just carry on that sense of anger, I suppose.
And she's gonna there's almost this thing where the love and like the loss of the aunt is like consumed the entire house, and it needs a new caregiver or caretaker, because the aunt is technically dead, but she's still there. And yeah, it's like it's chosen Gorgeous, like literally even sent the cat to bring her to it.
And the cat's eyes sparkle when people are getting fucked with. Like,
And then when Gorgeous becomes possessed, her eyes start sparkling too.
Yeah.
The aunt's eyes sparkle at a point. So it's like whoever is like tied.
so what happens to the other girls in this house? Melody,
あらないわ。
gets her fingers eaten by a piano,
Yeah,
right?
the piano eats her fingers, and then the piano eats her,
Yeah.
and it like cuts her up into bits, and then different sections of her body are floating all around the room. And again, Fantasy's seeing this, and no one else is seeing it at first.
What happened to Prof?
That's tough. Sweet is the one that got buried in blankets and
Oh,
mattresses.
right.
She got smothered by mattresses.
Who got trapped in the clock? Was that Prof? And then the gears essentially consume them.
Maybe it was, but I was going to say I also thought that was Sweet, and that can't be right. There's a lot of girls.
Yeah, it's hard to get
Because
the kills straight.
It almost seemed like, because Sweet disappeared, so they found her clothes in amongst the blankets, but her body was completely gone. And then I thought Fantasy saw her in the clock, so it's like the house just like absorbed her. Kung Fu was fighting the house.
And then the house just starts, after all this weird shit, an image of the cat like turns almost devilish and starts spraying blood. And the house starts to fill up with blood. They're nude a couple of times randomly
Yeah,
in the
it's
movie.
weird, but yeah.
But yeah, so I think it ends up being Fantasy all that's left. Like, but Fantasy's like thrashing in the water, and ultimately the waters or the blood consume them.
Well, Gorgeous comes to the top of the stairs, and Fantasy and Gorgeous are best friends. Like, all these girls are friends, but those two girls have a special bond. At the beginning, they almost are like holding in each other as though they're in love at the beginning of this movie, you know, like embracing and like the way they look at each other. And so they have a tighter bond. And so Fantasy sees Gorgeous come to the top of the stairs, and she thinks Gorgeous is going to like help her and save her. But obviously she doesn't. She just like lets her die as well.
Yeah.
And then it's the next day.
And that stepmom shows up. Obayashi apparently got a little infamous doing commercials.
山陽オーバーコートモアモア
I haven't seen these commercials. From my understanding, they're probably very stylized.
溶かして星のひとさじ口づけで宝石のように冷たく You are my jewelry スプーン一杯何カラット
雪印宝石箱チェリーとモカコーヒー新発売
And you know, all these movements, especially of this stepmom when she walks around, it's like she could be in a shampoo commercial or
It seems
something.
it's like a Summer's Breeze commercial,
Yeah.
which is like douche from the 80s. That's what it made me think of. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like, don't you want to be fresh as she is? You know, it's like very much
just
like
think of any magazine ad from the 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
Like she should be holding like a Virginia Slim or some
yeah,
shit.
totally.
And
She's
you
always got
definitely
these, like,
see
long
that.
white like scarves, and she's driving in a convertible, and it's all very just like.
But it's almost like comical and making fun of that aesthetic at the same time.
So she's on her way to the house, and I think this is how it goes down. Before she gets to the house, she stops at that fruit man's stand, and you see a car full of bananas wearing Mr. Togo's glasses.
Yes, Mr. Togo.
Or his hat or something.
He made it to the foothills of that house and then was turned into bananas. So he just didn't make
It was bananas.
Yeah, it was a bananas.
He was bananas.
But she's very still stylishly like gliding through all of this bizarre chaos that she's witnessing.
And
she's nonplussed by it. Oh, and a big way that the house is able to consume people and possess them is because they are unmarried.
Yes, it's unmarried women. Unmarried women. And this woman is not yet
She's
married.
not yet married.
She's going
She's
to
engaged.
be the wife of the
future
father.
stepmom.
And her whole thing is like, she's coming there to try to like make nice with Gorgeous because Gorgeous didn't want to go on a trip with them. So she's coming to just be like, I just wanted to have some time with you. I care about you. Or I want to care about you. I want to know you.
And Gorgeous is like very welcoming. Come into this house. And I mean, Gorgeous isn't really gorgeous anymore. She's essentially like her mom.
And she's wearing all white.
The rage ghost from Hiroshima from World War II that is forever waiting for her husband to come back. She is now the physical embodiment of that spirit.
And I love the ending scene because they're sitting across the table and it's beautiful. And again, it's very light in there. And you know, she says, oh, and there's all these things about the sliding doors. I love like the big, huge sliding walls in some of these houses that we see in these Japanese films where you can just like open up an entire wall. I fucking love that.
Yeah.
But you know, she does that and they're sitting and the stepmom says, where are all your friends? Did they sleep in? And Gorgeous just says, I'm sure they'll get up soon. They wake up when they're hungry. They gonna eat that bitch.
Yeah. Dad's girlfriend ain't gonna make it.
But I liked that idea of, I don't know, because obviously the house has consumed young girls before, I would imagine. And there's not a bunch of ghosts around the house. So the house obviously consumed the aunt at some point. But are all these girls living in that house now? Or is it just Gorgeous? I don't know. But the way she said that made me have like a little bit of a hope that they're all like ghosty ladies together.
Yeah, like maybe they're all just gonna have some fun now.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely it could be an opening. Like you can have a cartoon about like we're just ghosts in your aunt's house now. Mm-hmm. Hanna-Barbera style, you know. We talked about what we could, and I mean, even in talking about how weird this movie is, we don't really do it justice just by talking about it.
Not at all.
You really got to take this movie in and absorb how strange and stylistic it is, and very cartoony it is. But that's not a complaint. Like I very much am really enjoy just the pure, unrelenting imagination that's in this movie. It's really something to behold.
There's so many tiny details. You have to watch it. If you're at all interested, please watch it.
It's on Max. It's been on there for over a year.
The aunt at one point is sitting down to a lovely table eating one of Mac's feet. And
she's teasing one of the girls by showing an eyeball in her mouth.
Oh, yeah.
It's just these fun little things, too. But yeah, we're going to review this movie. End our spooky, haunted ghost theme this week. And tomorrow will be, what is tomorrow? I always forget by the time we get there what the next episode will be. I think it's The Wicker Man.
I feel like you've done a very good job of remembering maybe until this moment.
Don't quote me on that. Whatever. Every weekday it's a drop, okay? But we're going to review House, which, well, we already did that. Now we're going to judge it. In a rating system that we could completely change in about a month.
It.
Yeah. Really, this is the part that matters the least. It's just us putting a period on it.
I love movies like this. I love weird ass movies. I love anything I love anytime I see something I've never thought about or seen before. I get really excited, especially like special effect stuff. And again, this is one of those movies that like, yeah, you could watch this and be like, that wasn't real, that didn't look real. But that's not the fucking point.
if you're watching the 77 House and be like, that looks so fake. It's like,
get out.
You're like, it's like you're the person that when someone makes an obvious joke, you have to explain like, no, that's not. You know, when something's like, you know how something can be obviously stupid and that there's one person who has to explain it as though it's not obvious to everyone else. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah. If you're saying that about this movie, I don't know. Go watch something else. This movie might not be for everyone. That's for sure. That's
for sure. But I really enjoyed it.
If you're an artistic type, a design type, something like that, and you enjoy creative visuals, then I highly recommend this movie.
Absolutely. I'm giving it a 4.
I think a 4 is rock solid. A solid 8.
Yes.
And who knows, when we're going to reevaluate our reviews at some point.
Have to.
This could go up. It's not going to go down. It's not less than an 8.
I almost gave it a little more, but I think 4 is really solid. It could go up. We'll see. It could go up, but I think 4 is solid. We got to look at it against the other things on the list.
That's true. So we're going to go. We're not recording us going through the list because that would be way too boring. We're just going to do that somewhere else. All right. All right.
That's our fun time.
Yeah, that's what we do for fun. Let's see. It's an A.
I just love having a record of all the movies that we've watched this way.
That's really the purpose of it, just to remind us that we talked about it, right?
Yeah.
And, before doing this show, it's, sometimes the movies would go in one ear and out the other or whatever. And when you make yourself talk about every movie you watch, it really does help it stick into your mind and kind of help give the movie a little more influence onto your mind.
Yeah, definitely.
House, look at the bottom. I'll zoom in slowly on it. House by Nobuhiko Obayashi. 8. 8. Check the show notes for links and other places to find us. This is actually, we pre-record a lot of these this month, and this is our last recording. Even though you guys got a whole other week and a couple days of Halloween stuff, this is our last session for October.
But just know, we're going to keep watching scary movies on our own time that we're not going to tell you about. Sorry.
Halloween Eve and Halloween, it will just be us watching scary movies that we probably won't talk about. I've already been
watching scary movies without you, aside from all of these.
All right, then. So check the show notes for links and other places to find us. What do you think of this movie, House? Go check it out. It is streaming on Max, formerly known as HBO Max. These fucking companies, I swear to God. And they really fucked that up because they took away the hubs. You can kind of dig around and kind of figure out how to hub it, go to the, I don't know.
This is boring.
Yeah.
But you're cute.
Yeah, that's true. I just want to be able to go right to the Turner Classic Movies hub. That's all I'm saying, because that's my style.
Let's be real. You just want to go to the TLC hub.
That's true, too. Watch my 90 Day Fiance. So subscribe, leave a comment. Tell us your thoughts about 1977's House. It is a fun one.
Is your house haunted?
I wish.
Death to all traitors.